WebEx sometimes has challenges.
Can't see anybody. Everybody's on mute and videos are off. Rudro, Mr. Chatterjee, are you there?
How are you, Vikash?
Very good. Good to see you.
Good to. It's 11:59. Oh, there's sir. I can see him. So all our videos will come on.
Hi, Rudra. How are you? Good to
I'm
see
doing,
you. And
doing well, sir.
good to see Vikash ji. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Rajiv,
Good afternoon, sir.
wonderful to link up. Good afternoon.
Rahul sir, thank you so much for your time, sir.
So I think since it's already time, I would request President to kindly initiate the session.
So, good noon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome Sri Harshvardhan Shringla Foreign Secretary of India, to today's virtual annual session of the Indian Chamber of Commerce. Sir, we are extremely grateful to you for accommodating our special request and accepting our invitation to today's event despite a very hectic schedule. Thank you so much, sir. COVID-19 has had an enormous impact on the global geopolitical order, and India is not excluded. To stay relevant and emerge as a vital link in the new post-COVID supply chain network, India needs resurgent national and international strategies. I believe our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India has key foreign policy aspects. It merges domestic production and consumption with global supply chains, with being self-contained or being close to the world, without being self-contained and or being close to the world. In fact, India's international outlook for economic engagement has transcended from multi-alignment to pointed alignment, with a set of countries that are critical to India's economic and strategic interest, which is promoting an alternative supply chain network and allowing it to move away from China. Our country has already signed free trade agreements, such as South Asia Free Trade Agreement and India-Asia Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, and economic partnerships with countries like Korea and Japan. Sir, with you being at the helm of affairs and the Honorable Prime Minister's visionary initiatives, India has a foreign policy that helps to steer through turbulence and thrive at the same time. In the ongoing global rebalancing, India's foreign policy is also becoming innovative and sophisticated. I also remember you mentioning about MEA's focus on trade, tourism, and technology. With this, ladies and gentlemen, may I now request Shri Harshvardhan Shringla to share with us his views on how industry should prepare itself for coming challenges and opportunities in this rapid changing world. Sir, may I now request you to kindly address us? Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Vikash Agarwal, President of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Shri Rudra Chatterjee, past President, Dr. Rajiv Singh, Director General, and members of the Indian Chamber of Commerce. Namaskar and good afternoon. Let me begin by saying what a privilege it is to address the Indian Chamber of Commerce. It has been my good fortune to have had a close association with the Chamber. I have had the very special pleasure of receiving a number of delegations from the Chamber, both in Bangladesh and in the US. I know that past President Rudra Chatterjee had led delegations both to Bangladesh and the United States when I was ambassador there, and it was an extremely great honor to have received both these very, very high-level delegations. I know Vikashji was also a member of the delegation to the US, and I know that Dr. Rajiv Singh has himself steered many important workshops and special sessions on focused areas of trade and investment in Bangladesh. So it's a pleasure to have interacted with so many senior members of the Chamber in several of my assignments abroad. These links continue and will continue. It is therefore a great pleasure for me to be able to speak at today's session. As Chambers of Commerce go, the Indian Chamber of Commerce is unique. Its creation almost 100 years ago, I believe it was in 1925, was the result of the efforts of a number of patriotic businessmen led by Shri Ghanshyam Das Birla. It was located in Kolkata, which was then the capital of India. The history of the chamber, its location, contribute to its uniqueness. Kolkata has a special place in India's economic history. It is home to some of the most enterprising Indians and some of the best known Indian businessmen and businesses during a critical phase in our national journey. It became one of the leading centers and provided a critical mass of entrepreneurial spirit. And I've always mentioned that the chamber has a unique location in the sense that no other national chamber has the sort of outreach in East and Northeastern India as the Indian Chamber of Commerce has. And I think it is for us, at least in the Ministry of External Affairs and the government, very useful to be able to leverage the chamber's business connect in the Northeast as part of our Neighborhood First and Act East policies. I think this is something which we need to work closely together with the chamber in trying to realize these visions of the Honorable Prime Minister and the government. Institutions represent our hopes and our realities. The Indian Chamber of Commerce, when it was founded, was an aspirational institution. It represented in its time the idea that is contained in the subject of today's meeting, that of empowering India and Indians, and of today for tomorrow. The India of today, or India at 75, is very different from the India of 1925. It is the tomorrow that the founders of this institution worked towards. That India would have a role in world affairs would have been little more than an aspiration at that time that the chamber was founded. India was still a subject nation, and independence a distant dream. Independence, the trauma of partition, and the struggles of emerging nationhood were in the future. India has traversed a long journey since then. It has been a difficult journey, and many more challenges lie ahead. There is, however, much to be proud of. We are a country with a track record of resilience, of achievement, and of constant endeavor. We remain an aspirational country. We remain a country that wants to make a difference. We remain a country that will not be daunted by the challenges before us. A decisive, visionary, and resolute leadership, a whole of government approach to addressing issues before us, and strong societal support have enabled us to surmount major challenges and look proudly to the future. We meet in the shadow of the pandemic. The past 2 years have been, in some ways, among the most challenging in living memory. Yet, paradoxically, this is a moment of opportunity. All crises are followed by periods of growth. New businesses, institutions, and systems arise to replace and supplement those that failed. The Indian economy, as you're all aware, has returned to the high growth path. India's GDP grew by over 20% in the first quarter of 2021. You will also be aware that India has received record FDI inflows in the recent past. A record number of unicorns have been created during this period in the startup space. A whole new digital economy has emerged that is poised to drive further growth. India is becoming a renewable energy powerhouse, beginning an energy transition and moving in the direction of creating a new green economy. Our national vaccination drive, which has dispensed over 1 billion COVID vaccination doses in a record time, is a remarkable display of national capacity. All of these point in the direction of a post-pandemic economy that will differ significantly from existing realities. These economic shifts are taking place in the midst of what has been described as rebalancing. Very high growth rates in Asian countries, including India, have moved the center of economic gravity of the world towards Asia. This has geopolitical and geoeconomic consequences. The Indo-Pacific region, which extends from the shores of America to the east coast of Africa and includes the Indian Ocean region, is now a major focus of global attention. It generates almost 60% of the world's economic output. It also contributes to 70% of global economic growth. We deal with this new reality through mechanisms and constructs such as the Quad. You are aware that the Quad summit took place soon after the Indian presidency of the UN Security Council. It also took place around the same time as India presided over the BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and Prime Minister attended the G7 summit. It is followed by the Prime Minister attending the United Nations General Assembly, the G20 summit, and COP26 on climate change. This series of important and high-level diplomatic engagements occurred as we turned 75 as a nation. This is being celebrated across the nation and the world as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. It is time for reflection and for identifying our priorities and objectives for the future. The agenda of the first Quad summit, with its focus on health security and vaccines, supply chains, cyber security, critical and emerging technologies, climate change, and space, is an indication of what the future holds for us. India is determined to be a force for good in the international arena. It is determined to generate solutions to global problems. In the region, India is a net provider of security. It is the first responder, and it is a reliable development partner. It is also an India that aspires to be an Atmanirbhar. To be Atmanirbhar is to strive for strategic autonomy, autonomy that comes from economic resilience. The Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan intends to make India a trustworthy global supply chain hub. A number of policy measures have been announced in the recent past that will move India in this direction. The economic shock of the pandemic was countered by a massive fiscal and monetary support package. Liquidity was injected into the system and industry received financial support. The government remains focused on improving the ease of doing business. Ambitious structural reforms have been launched designed to deregulate and to enhance economic openness, good governance, and global competitiveness. Innovative policy measures, such as the production-linked incentives scheme, are creating globally competitive Indian businesses. Private sector participation has been a big push in 8 areas: coals, minerals, defense production, civil aviation, power distribution, social infrastructure, space, and atomic energy. The manufacturing sector has been further opened up to finance and technology flows. There is a special emphasis on innovation and R&D that will give Indian industry the extra edge they need. A national education policy has created the framework for educating a 21st century workforce. India has made massive public investments in improving its infrastructure. The Prime Minister recently launched the Gati Shakti, the National Master Plan for Multimodal Connectivity, which is set to create a seamlessly connected India. These are all initiatives that will improve India's global economic standing, its attraction as business destinations, and its reliability as a partner. Even during the bleakest days of the pandemic, India never forgot that it was part of a larger international community. Indian medical products, including drugs and pharmaceuticals, such as paracetamol and hydroxychloroquine, were exported to over 150 countries during the first wave. India launched Operation Sanjeevani and later Mission Sagar to bring humanitarian assistance and disaster relief to its partners in our extended neighborhood. India dedicated its vaccines to the greater good of humanity through Vaccine Maitri. India is a country with global interests and its commitments to be a responsible international player with utmost seriousness. Our approach to improving global public good is evident in our approach to our neighborhood. We have made an enormous effort to improve connectivity in this region. Kolkata, the home of the Chamber, has been a great center of trade and industry. As I mentioned, its location, its port, and its hinterland have made it a global city. Today, these very characteristics place it on newer crossroads. I have already referred to the central position of the Indo-Pacific region. ASEAN countries are central to our Indo-Pacific policy and strategy. Neighborhood first and Act East are two fundamental pillars of our foreign policy. These two pillars literally intersect in this part of the country. India is linked to Southeast Asia by land and sea and through this region. It is linked to the Bay of Bengal, to the Indian Ocean and the Indo-Pacific. Members of the Chamber would be aware of the lines of communication that are being created through Northeast India to South and Southeast Asia. The Kaladan multimodal transport transit project, which pivots on Sitwe port in Myanmar, and the Trilateral Highway project are two of these notable examples. 5 or 6 rail lines that connected Bangladesh and India before 1965 and were interrupted by the vagaries of history have been reactivated. More are being built. India is now connected to Nepal through the Jayanagar-Kurta railway line. A Raxaul-Kathmandu line is on the anvil. Members of the Chamber can travel directly to Dhaka by bus, train, or air. They can travel to Agartala via Bangladesh by bus. They can ship goods to Agartala multimodally through Ashuganj and Chittagong ports. Future plans to enhance connectivity include extending the Trilateral Highway to Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Railways that link India and Myanmar and further to Thailand, Laos, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Bangladesh are all in the realm of the possible. A network of land ports and integrated checkposts are being built along our land borders to upgrade the cargo transshipment and passenger transit experience. This will create new transport corridors that will facilitate rapid transport of goods and people between different nations in the region and different parts of India. A common energy market is slowly and surely being created. The Indian grid is connected to Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh. These allow India to supply 1,160 megawatts of power to Bangladesh, about 700 megawatts to Nepal, and import 1.8 gigawatts from Bhutan. Transnational movement of electricity in the neighborhood is thus a reality. Procedures for the export and import of electricity with our neighboring countries have also been notified. Hydrocarbon pipelines are being created to link India with Nepal and Bangladesh. Organizations such as yours and the businesses that you represent are stakeholders in the process of increasing our engagement with our partners in this region. We've tried to increase our engagement with such stakeholders and partners through a number of public diplomacy initiatives. I'm glad to inform you that the Ministry of External Affairs is supporting a number of Track 1.5 and Track 2 dialogues and conferences with a focus on this dimension. Recent initiatives included a BIMSTEC-focused dialogue located in Kolkata, a Kolkata-Dhaka dialogue that brings together think tanks and academic institutions in India and Bangladesh, a Nadi conference in Shillong that focuses on cooperation in this region, and a Kanchenjunga dialogue based in North Bengal and Sikkim that has a BBI in Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal focus. We have also commissioned a study by the Northeastern Development Finance Corporation that will map connectivity projects in Northeast India and Indian-supported connectivity projects in countries neighboring the region. The idea is to identify synergies and possible growth corridors. In conclusion, let me refer to the recent interactions that the Prime Minister had with heads of Indian missions abroad and with stakeholders in trade and commerce. The Prime Minister gave concrete directions on how this ministry's network of missions and posts abroad can work to further the goal of promoting the 3 Ts. And you mentioned the 3 Ts: trade, tourism, and technology. An ambitious target of $400 billion of exports has been set up for the year 2021-22. The business of Indian diplomacy is thus business. We at the Ministry of External Affairs stand ready to help Indian businesses in any way we can. I thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your insights. Amid global pressure, COVID-19, and the vision of a self-reliant India, you have a daunting task in your hand, that of formulating India's foreign trade policy. India Inc. is eagerly awaiting the unveiling of the proposed policy in 2022, which will be the guiding principle for foreign trade for the next 5 years. Sir, here, if may I have the privilege of asking you a question. Sir, India's biggest foreign policy challenge as we start 75 years of our independence is without doubt China. How do we plan to address this challenge as a nation, and what can we industrialists do to ensure healthy economic growth in this context?
Well, China is a growing power. The rise of China itself is a phenomenon that we have to contend with. I mean, as it rises economically, militarily, and in a manner that has seen extremely rapid growth in both these areas, in all of its dimensions. I think this is an issue that the world is grappling with in many ways. As far as we are concerned, of course, I think the objective of our restarting ties with China in 1988 were essentially to allow normal business to be conducted without the border issue coming in the way of that relationship. In other words, we would have trade, we would have commercial ties, scientific and technological ties, people-to-people contacts, but we would isolate the border issues that would be discussed separately through special representatives of both countries. But of course, that was predicated on peace and tranquility being maintained in the border areas. Now, last year, of course, we saw that China maintained an aggressive posture and attempted multiple transgressions along our border in eastern Ladakh. That obviously was not conducive to peace and security, and as a result, we are not able to conduct normal relations. Having said that, of course, trade continues, import and export continues. China continues to be, an economic partner. But obviously, we need to today evaluate whether we are overextended in terms of our supply chains, in terms of our investment tie-ups, in terms of the technology that we get. We need to examine all of those very carefully to see that, it is in keeping with our larger strategic and security interests. And that, obviously, as we move forward, our own economy grows, our own interactions grow. We need to ensure that we are not vulnerable in any way. On the contrary, our growth and development can be faster and better ensured. So this is a process, I think, that we will have to see how that continues. We've had several rounds of talks with China. We have solved some of the issues, but there are still some outstanding issues. And until we can resolve those issues, obviously, we will not be on a normal relationship mode. Again, I'm coming back to what is important to you. I mean, trade continues. There are investment ties that continue. But all of this has to be examined very carefully, and government is examining all these options very, very carefully to ensure that, our integrity and security remain intact.
So thank you. Sir, with your permission, we'll open the interactive session with members. May I request Mr. Rudra Chatterjee to please share your remarks and questions.
Sir, thank you for joining this talk. I've been observing India's not only rising stature in the global map, but also that has happened as a friend, as a universal friend. I think there are some countries that grow and their growth is welcomed by all. And that is something that we have seen with India. And for that, I'm sure a lot of work goes on in the External Affairs Ministry to make India a friendly force. And as we are looking today, this is a health-first approach around the world. Of course, with our focus on vaccinating ourselves, and then also bringing the best healthcare for Indians. But as a investor in Africa, I see how Africa looks up to India as a destination for health. Is there a policy for bringing better healthcare to African nations from India?
Well, if you see the Prime Minister's vision, it has always been for inclusivity. Inclusivity within the country, that means growth has to be inclusive growth. Everybody must be part of that growth. That means as the country progresses and your GDP increases, everybody must benefit in that process. And you would see in a lot of schemes that are designed to bring people, into that process. Whether it's a direct benefits transfer scheme, whether it's the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, whether it is the Jal Shakti Abhiyan, whatever the schemes are, it is designed to make sure that the most vulnerable sections of our population move with our larger growth and prosperity. And I think that is our approach also globally. We have always tried to involve, developing countries, less developed countries, small island states in our own developmental process. I was talking about the neighborhood, and I wanted to mention when we talked about connectivity, we talked about working with our neighbors on economic projects and developmental projects, that the concept of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas is something that transcends into our neighborhood also. We include them in that, because if our neighbors don't grow with us, then our growth is also cannot be assured. There is this level of synergy and also an overlap with our neighbors that ensures that if you can't take them with you, then your own growth would be jeopardized. So it is in your best interest to carry your neighbors with you in the interest of inclusivity, friendship, and partnership. We do it with the rest of the world also. You mentioned Africa. Even when we started our vaccination program, we were able to share 66 million doses of vaccines with developing countries in Africa through the COVAX program. Today that we have resumed export of vaccines, we are now again including Africa in that ambit. So health in Africa is something that we have worked for, whether it was for providing AIDS retrovirals at a very reasonable rate, whether it is providing other pharmaceuticals at 1/10 the rate that the pharmaceutical majors charge, or whether it's through vaccines. This is something that is very much on our agenda. We are providing telemedicine services to medical students in African countries, to African doctors. paramedics and patients through e-Arogya Bharat. This is an electronic scheme that provides direct telemedicine, learning to health workers throughout Africa. And I think this is our contribution. Our contribution is to capacity building. Our contribution is to bolstering their health infrastructure. And you will see a lot more of that as we go along within the overall, framework of our ancient philosophy, which is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and the world is one family. We want to carry everybody with us for the global common good.
Thank you, sir. Sir, if you have time, can we take one or two more questions?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gaurav Jalan, if you want to go next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Shringla. I was keen to understand your thoughts on Afghanistan and what are the compromises or the opportunities that lies for India and Indians there. Thank you.
Well, Afghanistan, obviously the rapid developments in that country in the recent past, in many senses, have represented a setback. But this is a setback that we could not do much about because the United States, after 20 years of investments and shedding blood in that country, decided to pull out. You cannot question their decision to withdraw. Of course, you could certainly have questions about the way it was done, but the fact that the Americans decided to pull out after 20 years was a given. We had to deal with a situation that was unexpected in the sense that the rapid fall of the Ghani government and the Taliban's very swift takeover of Kabul left us in a slightly, I would say, uncomfortable position. We made every effort to ensure that our diplomatic mission and our citizens from there were evacuated within the next 24 to 48 hours. It was a very difficult task, but we managed it. We had a ferry service with our Air Force and Air India providing that service, and we managed to pull out as many of our citizens as possible. I think we practically were able to evacuate each and every citizen except for a few who had not told us that they were there, but apparently happened to be in different parts of the country. We also were able to evacuate a very large number of Afghan Sikhs and Hindus. There are still some there, but I think most of them have been evacuated. Now, we have also established some contact with the Taliban, both in Doha as well as in Moscow, in the talks. And I think the Taliban, in our conversation with them, have been very reassuring. They've recognized that India has contributed greatly to the people of Afghanistan, that our developmental projects over the last 20 years have greatly contributed to Afghanistan's development. They would want us to provide humanitarian assistance. They want us to re-establish our embassy there. So they have said good things, which is a good start. Of course, as far as we are concerned, we are in touch with all our partners across the globe. We are members of the UN Security Council. I myself was the presiding over the Security Council meeting when we adopted Security Council Resolution 2593, which is even now a seminal resolution on Afghanistan, because it lays the benchmarks of what the international community expects from Afghanistan. And what are those requirements from the Taliban? One is an inclusive negotiated political settlement. The second is that its territory should not be used against the detriment of any others. The third is that they should provide humanitarian access. The fourth is that there should be no human rights abuses on women, children, and minorities. And so these are the basic, benchmarks that the international community would like to hold the current dispensation in Afghanistan accountable on. And this is something that we have to wait and watch. But you saw that we had a regional security conclave recently. The Russians, Iranians, Central Asian states were all here in Delhi. We are in touch with all countries concerned on this issue. And we will have to see how best to protect our interests, make the best of a difficult situation. But I think, in many senses, we have been quite active and quite, I would say, engaged on the international front to make sure that our larger interests are protected and that we are not in any way vulnerable to the new, strategic realities in this part of our region.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, do you have time to take one more question?
Yeah, I think we could.
Okay. So may I now request Mr. Sumit Goyal to please go next. We'll keep this as the last question, please.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, this is more about from the trade perspective. We are based in Kolkata and we ship all our goods through Colombo port. Means there is no direct connectivity from Kolkata to the United States. So, do we have any plans of building up our relationship with Sri Lanka? Because the port there becomes a big bottleneck. It slows down the whole process. The transit time goes up. Vis-a-vis the Chinese have much better connectivity. So just wanted to know what is India's perspective in terms of having a more strategic relationship with Sri Lanka in terms of sharing the port services.
Well, let me just say that we have excellent relations with Sri Lanka. I myself visited Sri Lanka a couple of months ago. I had access to everybody from the president, prime minister, finance minister, everybody across the board. We had, from every point of view, the Sri Lankans were very receptive to what we had to say. They, I think, have a India first policy. In other words, that, India is their priority country and they want to do everything possible to ensure that, our relationship continues to be at a high point. And trade is an important factor in it. They are going through some economic difficulties. There are serious balance of payments problems they're experiencing now because they have overextended themselves. They're reaching a debt crisis because of the very high indebtedness with China. And today, I think they have a clear problem there. They're looking to us to provide some bailout, and we have to see how best to do it. Obviously, we have to work out a suitable modus vivendi to be able to work, to be able to see how best to accommodate them in that regard. As far as Colombo port is there, as you know, recently the West Container Terminal was allocated to an Indian company. They will develop that part of the port. We have strong interests in Colombo port. We will ensure that traffic to and from Colombo port continue unabated. 70% of that traffic is Indian container traffic, as you correctly pointed out. And so Sri Lankans have more of an interest than us to ensure that that viability is maintained. They, at the end of the day, are benefiting from that port. And if Indian cargo is not able to access and leave that port easily, then the Sri Lankans will be the first loser. As far as we are concerned, the cabotage laws have been amended in India. Our ports are able to also provide the sort of container facilities that you need, whether it's Mundra port or, Paradip or other ports in our country. A lot of private ports as part of our, sort of connectivity along the port, along peninsular India and the coastline, connecting the different ports in India. And there's a lot of work going on in that regard. Whether it's Odisha or whether it's Andhra Pradesh, the East Coast is really developing very quickly in terms of port facilitation. And I'm sure there will be a time in which we will be able to provide these services and, make sure that our cargo is connected directly to different parts of the world. But until such time that we use Colombo port, I think there would be no problem. And we will be the first to make sure that those issues are resolved to satisfaction.
Thank you, sir. Very rich.
Thank you, sir. We had a wonderful session, sir, with you. I believe the uncertainty of the current political landscape is having a greater impact on businesses than they have seen for so many years. And here lies our challenge. At the same time, I'm sure that no matter how the future may unfold, businesses are keeping a close eye on geopolitical trends so they can be ready for new strategic and operational challenges they may face in years ahead. Sir, we know that India plans to hold 2+2 talks with both the US and Russia in coming weeks to foster better relations and to bring the policies of the countries in alignment with each other. As our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has said, the foreign policy is not about changing mindsets. Foreign policy is about finding the common meeting points. Sir, with this, we wish you the very best for the proposed meeting. Thank you so much once again, sir, and we are really grateful to you for your time. With this, may I now request our
thank you very much,
Mr. Rudra Chatterjee, to present the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Vikash. Sir, it is always a pleasure on behalf of Indian Chamber of Commerce to hear from you. We've had, you were saying that you were fortunate. It's absolutely the other way around. We've been very fortunate that whether in Bangladesh, whether in the United States, whether in Kolkata, whether in Delhi, you've made time for us. and we are proud to represent the eastern part of the country. And we are also proud to have a foreign secretary from the eastern part of the country, who understands the importance of this region. And it is certainly with the consumption, with the number of people in this part of the country, with the logistics, the point that Mr. Sumit Goyal was raising, business is ready, and it's ready for international commerce. And there, the role of external affairs is massive. We feel proud when we travel abroad. We feel proud that India is looked up to, that we are a member of the Quad, which is the most exclusive club in the world when it comes to security. That for major global issues like global minimum tax or even COP26, the Indian voice is a major voice. And it is something which, whether it is comes to business, whether it comes to healthcare, whether it is the vaccines or the syringes or the medicines or the talent that run the biggest companies around the world, there is no country who can say that India is not a major player. The role that has been played by the government, by the foreign ministry, by you personally, both as at your current position, but also as you were ambassador to the United States, the High Commissioner to Bangladesh, and those positions, and I continue to see, and I know that other members of Indian Chamber continue to see, the strength and welcome that India receives, because it's a different thing to be strong and feared versus being strong and loved. And it is beautiful that our country wishes to be strong and loved. And that, I think always has set us apart. And it is great that the government of the country and senior members like you have taken it forward. We would love to host you in Kolkata, sir, as we were looking forward to doing last month. It's always great to meet virtually, but we would love to host you in Kolkata. But we understand that what you do is not only of national importance, but of global relevance. But it's great to get time from you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's very great to be connected. Look forward to being in touch. I want to congratulate you on your presidency, past presidency, Rudro, and congratulations to Vikash ji on a very successful presidency. It was good to meet him and Rajiv ji in New Delhi recently in South Block. And I look forward to being in close touch with all of our friends in the chamber. It's a privilege to be in touch. Thank you so very much. Namaskar. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much, and personally grateful to you, sir, for your time, sir. Thank you for accommodating it.
Great session. Thank you.
Yeah, great session. Great session.